I move for no man, no man, no man, no man, no man.
We're calling a draw.
No man.
Just a flesh wound, 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 just a flesh wound.
There's a fight this weekend. Who's going to watch it? UFC on Saturday?
Yeah, I think Kaitlyn from our gym, from Hens Oh Gracie Academy, is going to be fighting. So I'll definitely be watching.
It's Gilbert Burns versus Tyron Woodley.
Ooh,
Yep.
good fight.
That's a really good fight.
Carrie, is that blonde fighter you're talking about, Kaitlyn?
Correct. Yeah, Kaitlyn.
Yeah,
I don't know
she's
how to
awesome.
pronounce her last name. It's pretty intense.
Yeah, it's Coog, something like that. But
Chakugan.
yeah,
Tunigan.
no, she's a great girl. She trains in Long Island a lot. I see her in the gym all the time.
Yeah, her husband, I think, is from there or whatever. So I think they have a house there now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I train with Gregor Gillespie. We're in the same gym, and they work really close together. And Ryan LaFleur, I think Long Island MMA is probably, no, maybe that's not our home gym now. She's between LA MMA, Belmore, and Long Island MMA, between Longo Law and LA MMA and Belmore. Those are like the major MMA gyms in Long Island.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are you drinking, Chris?
I've got a little gin and soda with lime.
Cheers, my friend. So is Thursday when you start drinking hard liquor, or?
No, honestly, I just ran out of supplies. I had a hamburger with dinner, and beers
You gotta
go great
make do.
with hamburgers. And I only have IPAs, and I can't drink too many of those. They're just so rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have a lot of red wine. So moving on to the white liquor.
So after last podcast, I was looking up, after talking about Lake Ozark, I was looking up lake houses and stuff like that. And I think
Must be nice.
I think we have to rent out a lake house and get crazy, get weird, just get crazy.
You gotta just do what you gotta do sometimes. It's
What lake and where?
Ozark.
Listen,
we're doing it in Minnesota. Where is it?
Missouri.
Again?
In the Missouris?
I'm in, bro.
I mean, it doesn't have to be there, but have you guys ever
Sounds like it should
done
be
it
there.
up in a lake? Have you guys ever yeah?
Yeah.
I have yet to do that. It's on my bucket list. So.
Dude, the Great Lakes up in upstate New York, and then they're all over the Midwest. I'm not really a Midwest guy, but I have a bunch of friends who talk about all the lake parties they do out there, what's the one in Ohio? There's some big party island on a lake in Ohio that my buddies always talk about.
I like that. Yeah, we have to definitely do it up.
But even upstate New York, man, you can find a nice cabin on the lake and have a great time. Bonfires.
Can we bring that dude Vinny the Chin with us? Can we bring him?
I don't know if he does tents or cabins. He's more of a shitty hotel on the beach with a lot of whores and cocaine. But
so Garry, did you check that dude out? He's coming on. He was coming on the podcast today, but
I
came
haven't researched him yet, but I hear amazing things so far. So
he's the self-proclaimed legend of Long Island.
I think there's a lot. You know what? I think there's a lot of those.
You're not wrong, Garry.
There's a lot of self-proclaimed legends.
Well, this guy doubled down and has his own movie. He's got his own web series. He's invested, man.
I've known Vinny the Gym for a decade plus.
And listen to this. Chris knows him. So this dude reached out. And when I mentioned him to Chris knew about him. So
yeah. A homie
so he's
a long way back.
He's well known.
Dude, you can't be the Long Island legend and not know me. I've been
been
around for a long time.
So you're saying the game recognized game? Is that what you're saying?
Yet another Long Island legend.
Yet another.
You see what I mean?
Shit, Garry, that haircut's growing on you.
Is it growing on you or is it growing on me, or both?
Yeah, on you, I guess. Would you guys have any plans for this weekend? Anything cool going on?
I'm going to be training with Ryan Benoit or Benoit, however you want to say it. He actually pronounces it Benoit, even though like the French pronunciation I think is Benoit. He's fights 125 usually in the UFC. He came down for a training camp, so I'm going to be training him.
He's small, huh?
Yeah, very small. I mean, it's how weight cutting goes. Like he's
probably
smaller.
150 pounds.
He's
Like
smaller,
140.
but he's still like, he probably walks around like 145, 140. Probably when he's heavier, he probably walks around like 150. So I mean, he's definitely significantly smaller than me, but I don't look at him as like crazy small or anything like that.
Gary, did you like the new trailer that I ripped for you?
The what?
The new trailer. I substituted the ugly chick for another ugly chick.
Bro,
Equally ugly or like uglier, less ugly? How'd you?
anybody listening to this, so what Frankie does, so he rips these trailers for the podcast. So I'm like talking about like boning ugly chicks or something like that, and he puts in a photo of me like being interviewed by like a representative of like of a company that I've worked for, and I'm like, dude, you can't use that photo,
Like he
man.
just Googled like
She's-
Garry
she's gonna
chick.
see this. I
Okay.
can't post that. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay. In my defense, who looks like that? What interview personality looks like that ever in the history of like journalists or
Insane.
interviewers
Dude.
or anything?
I hear you. It was, you know what?
Chris,
To your
this
credit,
chick
it
looked
was
like
a
an
beautiful,
escort, like a lady of the night.
Really?
To your credit, it was
In the
a
hood.
perfect example of exactly what I was talking about when I was talking about.
I thought she was Dominican too. I thought it was.
But-
I thought she was Dominican.
No, I don't know. I don't know what nationality she is. For sure, solid choice in terms of actual comedy, but doesn't work for me, unfortunately.
Very offensive for my career.
I thought
Yeah.
the new girl looks way better though.
I
and
didn't
it's-
see that one.
Yeah. Why would
I
you?
Dude, I was
Asshole.
teaching. You always criticize me, dude. I work like all day long, man.
So it's more convenient because she doesn't have any front tooth.
Oh,
So,
nice.
Yeah.
Like me.
So if she were to ever give you a BJ, it's all
Nice.
gums. It's all gums, baby.
Yeah.
After Gary and I's next fight, we're both gonna go get dental work done because we got some shit to take care of.
Yeah. I usually do fix this. I just haven't done it.
Yeah, I usually fix mine too.
Yeah. I just haven't
What do you mean?
cared.
You
I-
have
I-
fixed it before?
The chip.
Well, I thought that was part of your like persona, like your personality.
Well, now that I have a mullet, I don't think I can fix it until the mullet's gone.
Dude, there's
like
no
while
way.
I have the mullet, I have to have the chip tooth, or it just doesn't work.
Dude, you have to just go for the most ridiculous look that you can.
Gary, if I were you, I would just leave that shut. Because Frank, oddly enough, I have the exact same tooth as him. I have a bond on it right now, and
Yeah.
I have broken it so many times, like in wrestling matches, guys trying to get because anytime you get that pressure and it pushes against it, my bond just pops right off. So
When do you ever wrestle? Like wrestling in the clinch or what?
not recently, no, but like, dude, I used to wrestle all the time. Even between fights, like when my boxing career was not really elevated, like I would still wrestle, I'd still kickbox, I would still, I miss wrestling a lot. I loved wrestling. It was my first, not my first competitive sport, my first like competitive like one-on-one sport. And even kickboxing, like it's great cross training. Still love to kick, still love kicking. Don't like getting kicked, but
Chris is traumatized from
Chris,
being
how did you?
a
Just out
crappy
of
wrestler.
curiosity, Chris, because you mentioned kickboxing a lot. How did
Mhm.
you end up going from kickboxing to regular boxing, and why?
So I was always a boxing fan. That's actually the first fight sport I was ever introduced to. The first thing I can first sport I can ever remember watching as a child was boxing. So like my roots come from that. My grandfather's from Argentina, and in Argentina, like the only things that matter are soccer and fighting and boxing. So I
And
grew up.
meat.
Yeah, a lot of meat, a
And
lot of
meat.
meat, a lot of wine. Yeah. So I grew up with those things, which are still very, predominantly very, very big parts of my life. So my grandfather, he just loved boxing. He talked about fighters and champions and specific guys that I was like, man. And every fight that was ever on TV, he literally would yell, and we'd have to come watch it with him. And we enjoyed it. That was a great way to spend time with Grandpa. So for me, like that was always the dream. And I got into martial arts probably because I played every like sport you could ever play, and I just didn't really I didn't find a niche. I
Nothing
didn't
called
like it.
you.
Nah, no. And then I watched a lot of kung fu movies with my dad, and we just took a chance on schools, on dojos. And my mother did a really good job. She literally searched around for like she wanted me to be raised by somebody cool, because she knew I was going to be around somebody like legit. And I didn't realize that I was actually going to be raised by that man. So she literally dropped me off. I spent every day at that martial arts dojo. It was like, I came home from school, I got off the bus, and it was like Grandpa drove me to the gym, and I was at the gym from 3:30 p.m. until closing at 9.
So that dojo was, what was that?
That was a U.S. Karate Academy. Chinese Kempo was my first training style. I got a second-degree black belt in that. I worked there for years, taught for a long time I was like a kid teaching kids classes, all the way into.
Did you ever use it?
I mean, if I got into a fight today,
streets?
I'd be kicking people and
in the balls
and choking them out and poking them in the eyes and shit. Yeah, I'm not gonna box.
Well, you don't choke anybody out with Kempo.
Why not? We did.
Yeah. In Kempo, they do
like
chokes.
karate.
Yeah, Kempo's very much like a mixed style. There's punches, kicks, ground stuff. Takedowns, everything. Which is actually what got me into wrestling. Is my instructor was like, you need a sport. He basically was like, kid, you need a sport. Like you can't just do karate all the time. And I was just like, why not? He was like, you need a sport. He's like, you're probably good at wrestling, because we did a lot of ground stuff. We did a lot of I can't call it jujitsu because it wasn't, but we did a lot of like grappling. It'd be good. This would be good for you. And I went out with that, and I loved it. It was such an awesome experience in high school. So then, how I got to boxing was honestly, I never saw myself learning more techniques and like kind of watering myself down in terms of like my punching and kicking. Like I'd rather like cut things away. And I had so many injuries in kickboxing too. I was like, let me just focus on.
So when you refer to kickboxing, are you referring to the training that you were doing in Kempo, or were you referring to some other place that you learned kickboxing?
No. So we went through my gym was a Kempo dojo, but we had professional kickboxers, like American style kickboxing, Sancho, Thai boxing. Yeah. So we had pros who came, and we had guys that were in the gym that were just kickboxers. Like they weren't like our black belts. I went the whole route. I went black belt through the program, Joe Louis, Ed Parker system of Chinese Kempo. But then I went through full contact kickboxing and that like pro aspect. So we had those guys too. So I remember watching those guys and then going to watch them fight at an actual fight. And I was like, I want to do that. I don't want to do forms. I don't want to do point karate. That's not for me. I want to knock people out. Like let's fight for real. And that's how I made the transition into actual full contact kickboxing. So from all through high school, I was fighting amateur kickboxing. And then as soon as I graduated from high school, I turned pro. And I fought all through my undergraduate years. I had 20 pro kickboxing fights from age of 19 till about 24. And then I made the transition to boxing at about 25.
So the transition to boxing was a product of like you said, like a cultural thing, like basically like your family was super into it, and so that made you more into it?
No, that was probably the reason I was more in tune to going that way. But really the reason I did it was money and injuries.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it was money and injuries. MMA wasn't that big in terms of money. And it's
still not compared to boxing.
No, right.
Let's be clear.
Yeah, I made the right decision.
Yeah, for sure.
But so also I was going to boxing gyms a lot. I was going to Gleason's gym in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I was going to great gyms in Jersey, over in Hackensack and upstate in Connecticut, and different gyms all the time. And I was boxing guys because we didn't have world-class kickboxers on Long Island. I was fighting guys literally from all over the world. Yeah. So for me to get world guys from Long Island, very, very small talent pool for kickboxing. So I was going to gyms to spar with world champion boxers. And so many of the trainers are like, dude, you're a kickboxer? Like I was barefoot boxing guys in boxing gyms, and whooping ass, and they're like, you got a little boxer in you. And I was just like, okay, cool.
Interesting.
So much easier transition for me.
So it's you said injuries, like you said, and then you just basically kind of realized money wise it was going to be a better option. So and this is just me like with a lack of understanding. So there's significantly more money in boxing than there is in kickboxing. What are the opportunities like in kickboxing for somebody that like, what's the highest level kickboxing like in your eyes?
So when I was a fan of kickboxing, like growing up as a kid, like K1 style, K1 was
Yeah.
the biggest, and that was initially that was only the heavyweights, right? That was the guys who were really big. So we watched them. Those fights are sick. They're still awesome.
Sure.
Guys like Peter Arts and even like Tyrone Spong is one of my favorite fighters ever. He's actually a pro boxer now. But
Whatever
it's
happened to
interesting
him,
that
Chris?
you say that. Go ahead, Frankie.
What happened to Tyrone Spong?
he's a pro boxer now. He's like 12 or 13-0.
I haven't seen anything of him.
Yeah, no, he's
as of late.
Yeah, he broke his leg really bad fighting.
I saw that.
The Turkish legend. Oh my, I can't believe we're one of my favorite fighters. Shattered his leg really bad. Full
I saw
like
that.
tib fib fracture, checking a
Like
kick.
Anderson Silva type.
Exactly. Very similar. And so he made the transition to boxing from that, and he's been doing really well. He's like 13 or 14-0, 10 or 11 knockouts, very close to a title shot or getting some kind of big fight.
Garry, since you're really curious about our fighting experience, you probably want to hear about my Japanese jiu-jitsu experience.
Japanese jiu-jitsu.
I'd love to hear that.
Yes. So when I was a teenager, I got introduced to Japanese jiu-jitsu, and I went into that. And I spent like 2.5, maybe 3 years, and I was going into like my brown belt. That's how fast you get belts in that system. And I thought I was a shit, right? I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm going on to my brown belt. Like, if anybody comes at me with a wooden knife, they're fucked. I'll fucking tear it up. And so this kid at a bowling alley was like kind of bullying a bunch of like my friends from school. And I'm like, guys, you're with me. I'm like the fucking perfect weapon. I'll take care of this dude.
You're with me. I got you.
You're with me. I got this, dog.
I can totally.
Everybody was like,
on Frankie's personality, like I so see this happening. Like this is a
dude.
dead,
Everybody
dead
was like,
real story. There's
I
no.
was like,
yeah.
Dude, I was like, they're white knight, right?
Yeah.
And this is my moment. In my head, it played out like fucking flawlessly. Like, I'm gonna take care of this, and everybody's like gonna cheer me on, and I'm gonna be a legend at school. So we go down to the parking lot.
Okay.
And this kid comes at me, and right away I grab him with like kind of like a bulldog choke.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do like one of those hip tosses that I learned in my jiu-jitsu class. And I'm like, fuck, dude, this is easier than I thought. This guy's going fucking flying. So this guy latches onto my tit and just fucking he bites the fuck out of me, which like makes me loosen my grip.
Frankie only has one tit. It's just a scarred mass.
I have one nipple. I got one nipple.
Honestly, I'd rather have one than three. I know a lot of people with three. It's fucking weird.
Dude, so I start
Why do you know a lot of people with three nipples?
I don't know. I've met
that's a weird.
At least half a dozen people with three nipples in my lifetime. Really? I guess I met too many people.
I don't know what's in the water over there in fucking Long Island.
All over, dude. All over. Like,
you got weird friends, man.
Yeah.
So this guy latches onto my fucking nipple, bro. And I'm like trying to like go into my database, like what technique should I use for this? I don't know what the fuck to do. And he throws me onto the ground, and we're like in the parking lot that's really rugged.
Yeah.
So what he does is he grabs my hair and my jaw.
This guy's a street fighter.
100%. He was a little fucking goon, and he starts scraping my face like really fast, like this, like a washboard. On the concrete, he was grating my face on the fucking concrete, dude.
Yeah.
And then we had like the security break it up.
I like this kid.
I never went back to that fucking class. Fuck that stupid ass teacher. So Japanese jiu-jitsu can suck my balls and all of that other stupid ass.
I like this kid. He gets things
karate, karate, and all that bullshit, dude.
Amazing.
So that'll get you a whooping. So the next day I had to go to school with like my face covered in Neosporin. And just like fucking bruised up like a little bitch, bro. I could hear people talking behind my back.
So
laughing.
Did you get? So that kid was in your school?
No, dude. He was in another school, but we were the same. Like I was even bigger than him. We were the same age.
Because I was wondering, like, wondering if you went to the same school as you. I was wondering, like, if you ever thought to, like, all right, I got to get back at him. Like,
no, I would have. I probably would have. I actually tried about 8 years later After college, I swear to
Frankie
God.
never forgets.
Dude, listen to this.
Frankie, like I tried like 6 months ago.
8 years later, like you would think that I would forget, but I don't. And this guy came up to me and he's like, "Hey man, what's up? No hard feelings. It's all good." And I was sober then, and I shake his hand. It was like at the beginning of the party.
Yeah.
I don't know what type of party it was.
Since
Anyways,
you said I was sober then, I'm like, oh, here we go.
yeah, I had a couple of drinks and I started like when I saw him, he kind of caught me off guard, so I wasn't thinking much, and I'm like, "Oh shit, what do? I just gave him my hand, right?" But
Yeah.
then I realized that I
You're
had
like,
made a
nah,
mistake.
that's fucked up.
He's my nemesis. He beat
Fuck
my
that-
ass and
fuck that.
humiliated me.
Fuck that friendship.
So I started drinking aggressively at the bar.
And stewing in the
I
corner.
love, wait. Time out for just 1 second. I love how the preparation for this moment, Frankie's just like, let's get tanked. He's like,
Yeah.
I need to beat this guy in a fight. I have to be
Pain
as
reliever.
tough as possible.
Well, the thing is that I was getting the courage to like go up to him and like either I don't know, man. I was gonna challenge him to a duel, to a fight. So I start drinking and I'm like, okay, I'm like 5 or 6 vodka tonics in, and I'm like, fuck it,
Wow.
it's go time. And I go up to the dude and I'm like, listen, you took some cheap shots at me when we were young. That was real thuggish of you to do those moves on me. I don't know. I said some stupid shit. I don't know what I said, but I said, let's go, you and me, go time. Let's run it back, bitch. Let's run it back.
8 years later. I
Yeah.
want to make sure the timeline
Yeah, we
is
were.
right.
I
Okay.
mean, we fought when we were teenagers, and now we're like, we're adults now.
I'm man. You're man. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't let that happen. So the guy, once I say that, the dude's like, "Are you serious? Just let it go, man. That happened when we were kids." I'm like, "Fuck that, dude. Let's go."
This guy's
I'm
like,
like,
I'm a
little-
father of 3 and I'm an accountant. What do you? I can't do this right
It's
now.
like I got a family, bro. I don't fucking fight anymore. We were kids. We were immature, and I'm like, I'm still fucking immature. Let's go. And the guy wouldn't have it. He's like, "No, dude. I'm like all chill. I don't fight. Blah blah blah." And I'm like, "All right, you're a bitch. You're gonna leave it at that, okay?" And then we leave it at that. And then I see him again 3 years later, dude. And you would think that I would let this go, but I did not. I had to pick at him one more time.
How many months
And
ago
he
was this?
knew- And I was like, oh, that was like a year ago. Dude,
How
and
many
this guy-
days ago? How many hours ago was it?
That was
week?
like that was last week.
Right before fucking COVID.
Well, like at this point in the timeline, I feel like we have to be like pretty recent.
8
No,
years
no, it
plus
was a couple-
3 years. This is 11. We're on a 15-year track right now.
Dude. And I go up to this guy and he's like, "Yeah, I've been seeing some of your like Instagram videos, blah blah blah." Back then I was saying like boxing classes and did some like kickboxing and some jiu-jitsu. And I had gotten into that cruise fight where I beat up 3 dudes. So I was like, dude, I was up here.
All-time high.
Bro, I was up here, man. And I'm like, "Yeah, and I'll beat your ass if you don't get the fuck out of my face." He came up to me like, try to like give me some praise, and then you know what? I realized that I was being an asshole, and I went up to him and I'm like, "Bro, don't worry about it. Let's squash this." And we fucking squashed it.
So how many holes did you poke in his tires?
Yeah, that lawsuit is still pending, so I can't talk about it.
My lawyer said I can't speak on that.
My lawyer said I can't go into that.
Yeah, because you gotta wonder, like, with like fights that happen in school and stuff like that, especially when they get broke up, like I would feel like it's unfinished business. Like fortunately for myself, I never got in any like legitimate fights in school, like, little things here and there, but like never really happened quite like that, like throwing down. So I always wondered though, like when that happens, like, man, I don't know, it'd be really tough for me to eat that. Like even if
Okay.
I lost, I don't think I could let it go. I think I would have to continue to pick fights until I won.
Okay, I have a perfect example of that.
I
That
did
happened to my other partner, Alex Numbers, our CFO.
Never.
Yeah.
So we were all in the same grade, right?
Mhm.
And there was this like skinny little black kid with like, he looked like Urkel with like huge glasses.
Okay.
And you know, people kind of picked at him and bullied him just because of how scrawny he was and stuff. And one day, Alex, he's like right now. Alex is like 6'6". Back then, he's still a Sasquatch, bro. He was huge. He was probably he was the tallest guy in the class by far.
Yeah.
So he grabs a stapler and he starts like throwing staples at him, like in his face, like pop, 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 and in the back of his head. And he does that for like almost the whole period until this kid, like, he has enough, right? And he stands up and he's like, fucking stop. And Alex stands up to throw him another staple, right? So you can see it's like David versus Goliath at this point because they're both standing up. And this kid, just out of like fight or flight, kicks him right in the fucking nuts.
Yes.
And then the class bell rings for second period. And the teacher comes in and doesn't allow him to like get his shot in.
Yeah.
We fucking, bro, everybody from like the whole school knew about this. And everybody, like the masses huddled and gathered to like call out that this kid had kicked Alex in the nuts and beat his ass. Like everybody's exaggerating. Like this kid had gotten a 10-punch combo at Alex by lunchtime.
He kicked him in the balls and then Superman punched him in his fucking nose.
Yeah. It's like, yo, I heard that this kid like fucking did a Mortal Kombat fucking combo on you. And
broke his spine.
Yeah, it escalated till like the end of school, where he had enough. He knew that he had to actually fight this kid to
save face.
Get that, to alleviate all that shit from him. And this kid, he was ghost, dog. He was gone. Alex was walking around campus with like 40 kids, 40 like little goons like me and like all his friends and stuff like that. They were actually like making fun of Alex for not beating this kid up, but at the same time we're looking forward to this fight, right? And we couldn't find him, and that's it.
Oh wow.
Till this day he got beat up by Urkel.
Wait, so Urkel was in class and then just never came back to school? I don't understand.
No, it was scheduled to fight after school. Like the fight was scheduled to happen after school. And after school, he was gone. He probably saw when the bell was going to ring like 5 minutes before the bell rang and left.
So what I mean is like the next day.
Yeah, then what? Like,
dude, he just wouldn't get caught. He just evaded the fuck out of Alex. Always evaded him. He was like either in the library or like he would sit like in front of class and stay with the teacher afterwards. And then after like a couple of days doing that, Alex isn't really a fighter. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to fight. He had never gotten into a fight, but he had to do it because of the fucking peer pressure we were.
Yeah, Urkel won.
He won till this day, dude.
Urkel
and you know
won.
what? When like a couple of the friends like hang out, we always bring it up, bro. They're like, yo, dog, you got beat up by Urkel, dog.
To be fair, Alex also just deserved it. So it's like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like,
he did deserve to get kicked in the nuts.
So fuck him. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like not like fuck him. Like I know Alex is a cool dude. Like we hung out with him and shit. But like I'm saying like, you know, take your L there.
You can't listen. Bullies.
It's a little
need
different.
To get got. Bullies need to get got. Yeah. He got got.
It's different if it was like a like a fist fight and there's no clear like right or wrong. You know, maybe you're fighting over a girl or something like that or whatever, and you know that's different. But like in this instance, he knew he was in the wrong. It's almost like, dude, you know what sucks for me as a trained fighter, and maybe Chris will share this to some degree. I don't know, but if I fucking cut somebody off in traffic or something and they get pissed and they want to pull over. Man, I can't do it. I can't do it because I know what's going to happen is they're going to attack me and I'm not like, I have a conflict. I'm like, all right, I deserve to get hit, but I know I'm not going to let it happen. So I'm going to pull over on the side of the road. I'm going to beat the shit out of some dude after I cut him off. You know what I mean? Like, adding insult to injury. Like, I can't do it, man. One time I like turned in front of some motorcyclist or something, and he was so mad. He followed me. Like, I had to turn onto the highway, and I had to like evade this guy to not pull over onto the side of the street. Yeah, and end up fighting him. He's like pulling to the side of me. He's yelling at me all this stuff, and I just kept driving. But like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I could pull over, but I'm gonna have to beat this motherfucker's ass. Like, I can't. And then I'm gonna feel twice as bad because it was my fault, and I
probably sue your ass too.
Well, yeah, and on top of that, that problem. But it's just, yeah.
So
I
let me
always
ask.
think about it. I always think about it like if I pull over, like we're gonna fight. Like I'm not gonna go easy on you either. I'm gonna fight to fucking kill you. I'm not a jiu-jitsu expert. I'm not gonna
Sure.
put you to sleep. I'm not gonna put you to sleep. I'm gonna fucking punch you and kick you until you're unconscious, which is way more damaging. Like
Garry,
Sure.
and I'm not gonna like half-ass it just in case. I don't know who you are, what you are,
Sure.
and I'm not a big guy, so I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna hit you to kill you. Like that's the only way I know to fight.
Gary, you would try to subdue him though. You wouldn't like beat his ass, right?
Well, but
Blows.
still, like it's like I already cut him off, so I was an asshole to begin with. Now we're gonna fight each other, and even if I just strangle him gently, it's embarrassing. Like it's like, okay, you got cut off and you just got strangled on the side of the road. Like it's just not right. Like there's no justice in that. You know what I mean?
Why, when I fuck up driving, I look at them. I'm like, I never get mad. I'm just like, oh, my bad. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever see the Matt Serra video where he subdues a dude in Vegas that's drunk at the buffet?
Oh.
Yeah.
So this dude's being really loud and obnoxious, and Matt Serra, which is an ex UFC champ, he just like trips the dude and gets on top of him and like just sits on his belly and grabs him like by his wrists and just tells him to calm down, relax, buddy. I'm not gonna hurt you. Just ease up, calm down. And this guy's like going crazy, but he can't really buck him off because he's a fucking pro. He's Matt Serra. And then security comes and takes care of the dude. But I feel like Garry could do that really easily. But what are you gonna do? Wait 30 minutes till a fucking trooper comes over?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna wait till a fucking state trooper comes over. We're on the side of the road. Like I'm out. No thanks. I'm gonna keep driving. I'm gonna do everything I can to avoid having to pull over.
Roll him over, put his hands across his chest, and just make sure he's not in the road, and then just drive away. Like, he's good.
Or you fucking put him to sleep and then sit him down.
The guy wakes up like this.
Get my zip
like a homeless.
Eyewitness News, where news comes first.
What do we got?
So, have you guys seen that George Floyd person that a policeman put his knee on his neck and killed him?
Yeah.
That was Minnesota, right?
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Yeah.
So listen to this. The shopkeeper put a complaint on this person for having a counterfeit bill. I don't even know if the bill was counterfeit.
I thought it was a counterfeit. I thought he thought it was a counterfeit check or something.
I heard that too, but
he signed a check for somebody else's name or something. Like
forged check, yeah.
No, it wasn't true though. Like whatever it was actually was verifiable, and it was him or whatever it was. Like whatever they were accusing him of, he wasn't actually in violation of.
Well, anyways, they didn't give him the benefit of the doubt, but still it's like a bullshit fucking
offense.
It's like a bullshit offense, and he got pinned down. The dude was you guys saw the video, right?
Yeah.
He's telling the cop that he can't breathe, that he's gonna die, that he can't breathe.
He's on the guy for like 9 minutes. It was insane.
And the guy died.
Yeah.
After like warning, and you know what? Well, what's crazy about it is that, man, I feel like this cop is a fucking psycho, because after he had killed the guy, another cop came and checked his pulse and said something to the cop that was pinning him down, and the cop just stood his ground, and everybody was telling him like, you already killed him, what are you doing, get off him. And the guy filming,
wait, he's still on him and his pulse is being checked?
Dude, the guy's dead and he's still on him. And so it wasn't the person that was filming the video, it's a person that was like a bystander yelling at him, you fucking killed him and you're still on him, he's fucking dead, can't you see? And the guy's like stone cold stare. Just like holding his ground.
So a couple different things. The first, a friend of mine is part of the police force. Is really, really tough wrestler. Probably got like now he's probably got like 30 pounds on meat. So he's probably like a cool 200 now, just jacked. Fucking, he was a D1 wrestler. He was captain of the team at Rutgers. And he's a cop now. His name's Matt Fletcher. And he was talking to me the other day, and he was like, this is a guy, by the way, who's capable. Anytime he's detaining a suspect or whatever the case may be, he's perfectly capable of grabbing someone, spiking them on their neck, and killing them in the street at any point in time. Like, he could abuse, and hell, if he didn't want to kill somebody and he just wanted to abuse them with force and get away with it, like if you really wanted to fucking just like beat somebody up and make it look like he was just trying to detain a suspect, he could. But one of the things he said was that the guys that work with him were telling him, they're like, man, like when you detain a suspect or whatever, like, man, you're so gentle. Like, you're so, like, we didn't expect that of you. Like, we look at you, we see you like this, like as this like monster who's like, you know, capable of like destruction, but like you're so
Real quick,
gentle.
not to cut you off, Gary, but like what he just said about spiking a guy in his head. If anyone who's a decent wrestler knows what you can do to someone in the street, if you know how to put a double leg fucking takedown on somebody, you can literally spike them into the ground and it's over every time.
It'll be over. No, I'm just saying. So they were like, man, you're like so gentle with these guys when you fucking like, you know, cuff them and this, that, and the other thing. He's like, yeah. He's like, why would I put in more effort than I need to? Like, why would I hurt them when I don't have to, when I can just fucking handcuff them? And it's what it is. He believes is it's a discrepancy between the fact that he's so confident in his ability to detain somebody. Like, he has no issue, you know, subduing somebody. Whereas these guys are not confident in their ability, right? So they have no idea how much force is going to be necessary to
that's what I was going to say,
somebody or whatever the case may be. So the things that they're doing, like to try to cut, like that dude putting a knee on the neck or whatever the case may be, was totally unnecessary. There's like 4 people there. Yeah,
he doesn't even know. He probably saw that in a movie.
Exactly. You know, this is a guy who's been taking people down his whole life. You know, my wrestling coach, and so it's like it's almost like a walk in the park. Like, all right, I'm gonna fucking this guy down, put his hands behind his back, I'm gonna cuff him, no big deal. So because he's so well trained, it's like he doesn't need to do that. So I think that's one thing. Second thing, I'm pretty surprised at the I didn't see the video. I just have heard of it. I haven't actually physically sat down and watched it yet, but I've heard things like there was multiple cops, that he had the knee on the neck for, you know, 10 minutes or something like that.
It was just this one cop. He wasn't even, dude.
Well,
this guy wasn't
there was
even
more
squirming.
cops. There was more cops. If you look at the angle, there's another, video angle.
I'm saying there was one cop on him.
Yes.
And then the other cop was kind of like being his bodyguard, like making sure nobody like came over.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like the fact that he had his knee on his neck for 10 minutes, it just seems like, from what I heard, he didn't really resist.
Not at all.
Like the arrest. So it just seems completely crazy. One, that he would have put the knee on the neck for 10 minutes. 2, I'm a little confused as to how he ended up killing him. He would have had to have his knee, like, I guess, pressed against the carotid artery.
His aorta.
I was going to ask you that
on the side of his neck.
Specifically, like why would that kill him?
If he did actually have his knee pressed against the carotid artery, okay, and it was cutting off like blood supply or whatever, or dropping the blood pressure or whatever it is, and he did that for 10 minutes, it absolutely would kill someone. Because it's actually a lot harder to kill somebody via strangle than people believe. Because it's been, keep in mind, I mean, jiu-jitsu, judo, this has been being practiced for thousands of years. People strangle each other. You know, somebody goes unconscious, you wake them back up, it's no problem. But the difference is
after you go unconscious, how long do you think it takes for your body to like?
So John has talked to us about this at length. He believes that anything in excess of 30 seconds can cause brain damage. So like anything around 30 seconds to 2 minutes can cause brain damage if you're just consistently holding some sort of a strangle for that long. And then I believe he said anything like in excess of 2 minutes of like consistent strangulation. So if you consistently cut off that blood flow for excess of 2 minutes, that could cause death.
Okay. So from the video, this guy, it must have been like 5 minutes after the guy went to sleep.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
And he was making like the hissing sounds before he went to sleep. Like,
Well, he's also pleading for his life. I can't breathe.
100%.
It's absolutely fucking brutal.
Yeah, he was like,
and
please, please, I can't breathe.
There. The guy's not resisting. I mean, he was a big guy. He was a really, I think he's like 6'7".
Makes me
massive
sick.
guy. But like which I understand that there's
And
going to.
did they already have him cuffed?
Dude, he was cuffed behind his back.
So I just don't understand. I don't understand what the necessity for keeping your knee on somebody's neck is.
None.
Like, okay,
And why
if you
the-
really don't
why
want to
the
do the
fucking
move,
neck? Why couldn't it have been like
Yeah.
his back or his
so
arm?
if you really didn't want to do the move, let's say you're concerned about him getting back up after you cuff him for some reason and running away, zip tie his fucking legs. I mean, I don't. Or just have a dude sit on his back. Like,
there's
I don't-
there's 3 or 4 cops there. Okay,
there's
the
no
guy's
there's
cool.
no reason for that.
So
Yeah,
would that be
that was 100% murder. That's
so
you-
so with
Yeah.
that being said, after the other young African American man that was jogging got murdered, right?
Yeah.
This happens, which are like high profile cases.
Yeah.
People are like going crazy right now. Like tensions
Understandably
are
so.
running really high, and people are like violently protesting throughout like Minneapolis and
They
downtown
burned down some
LA.
buildings. I think I heard
Yeah.
recently. They burned.
Target got robbed and burned.
Honestly, man, I like, as much as I'm not like for, you know, riots and violence and this sort of
Anarchy,
thing, I get it, because it's something that consistently has been happening in that community that it doesn't really seem has really been a solved problem for a meaningful period of time. So at a certain point, it's like it's this thing where they just got to consistently deal with it, and it doesn't seem like there's any mediation. Like there's no, what, even just repercussions isn't enough. Like, okay, let's say we fucking, you know, throw that cop in jail, or fucking, you know, we give him the death penalty or whatever the case may
Some
be.
other dude's gonna do it.
Somebody else is going to do it. So it's like this consistent unrest, this consistent problem that they're having to face. And like, I kind of get it. Like, you know what I mean? They must feel so frustrated by the
It's
fact
very
that
frustrating.
they can't do anything about it.
I think that part of the curriculum, or like the whatever police course, should be basic jiu-jitsu. At least they should know what that feels like, or what can, you know, put a guy to sleep or kill someone, or even get a little bit comfortable.
Well,
more
that's one of the
comfortable.
things you're not allowed to do. You can't choke. So either
Yeah, you're actually not allowed to apply strangles, unless the situation calls for deadly force. So in a situation where you'd be allowed to use your gun, you'd be allowed to strangle. But if you're not in a situation where you can use your gun, you're really not supposed to intentionally strangle someone. Now, this guy might be able to get away with it by, you know, I don't think he's going to be able to get away with it simply because of how much attention this is getting. But you might be able to get away with it saying, oh, I wasn't intentionally strangling him, I was just trying to pin him down, right? Because it's not like I literally have my arms wrapped around someone's neck, right? He had his knee on someone's neck. But it's the same thing, man. The neck that's how you strangle people. You know what I mean? So strangle is strangle.
I can't see this guy getting off. I can't see that happening.
No, he's not.
Too much
He's not.
media attention. There's no way.
Yeah.
Not that I think that he should get off anyway, but I'm just saying, no matter how good your lawyer is, no matter what they try, I think if he did get off somehow, that there would be more riots. It'll be just like
Dude,
the
and like what's
riot.
crazy is like a bunch of like high profile people are instigating like these like revolting. Like I saw Colin Kaepernick tweet, when civility leads to death, revolting is the only logical reaction.
Yeah.
So it's like, imagine all the millions of followers that he has, like reading this, like egging them on, like, yeah, let's go fucking go out in the street and get crazy.
This is a dangerous time.
It's not really something that I want like to happen. Like I don't want people fucking burning down buildings and rioting, but I totally understand where they're coming from and why that was the conclusion that they made. And they're like, all right, like this is what we got, you know, this is what we have to do. I mean, because just fucking, you know, nonviolent protests. Hey, here was our reaction to nonviolent protests. Fucking getting Colin Kaepernick kicked out of the fucking NFL. Yeah. You know what I mean? That was our reaction to nonviolent protests. The dude took a knee during the national anthem, and we fucking flipped out about it. So, you know, that was our. You know, they tried to nonviolently protest. You know, and this is what happens when that doesn't work.
And you want to hear something really messed up? The 17-year-old girl that filmed it was receiving backlash and like hate comments from people saying that she was supposed to do something. Bro, she's a 17. a
What was she gonna do?
17-year-old
Go
girl,
try to
a
stop
minor.
the cop and then get the shit kicked
Yeah,
out of her
like-
by the other cops?
Right. Yeah. Like what? Go wrestle 2 fucking cops.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck.
People can be so fucking
I saw
stupid
some of that
and
too.
petty.
Like don't film people, help people. I'm like, God, you don't know who's filming that cat. You know, it could be, like you said, it was a young girl.
I don't care who it was. If it was me, you think I was going to be able to stop that dude from putting his knee on the guy's neck while there's 4 other cops around? Like, I'm going to
They'll
get
beat your ass.
shot.
They'll
'cause
fucking
I'm trying
tase
to-
you.
There was plenty of
club
people in the
you.
video yelling to stop.
Club you,
Like it was,
tase you.
there was plenty of people yelling to stop.
Do you guys
Yeah,
see?
I mean, I guess if everybody joined in together and tried to stop it, then they would have been capable of it. But
Guess what? The
Still.
fucking cops should have joined in to
Still.
stop it. How about
yeah,
that?
it's not their responsibility. It's nice if people tried to do something like that, but at the end of the day, you're asking people to risk their life now. I think that's a little bit much to ask of another civilian.
Did you guys see the Seinfeld finale?
No.
I never watched Seinfeld.
So the Seinfeld, you didn't?
Never.
Well,
I've
okay.
seen like 2 episodes.
It was
I've
only
seen
like
many episodes, but
it was
I'm
only
not
like the
aware
#1 show
of the
ever.
finale or if I've seen it.
That's cool.
That's cool.
It's a good show. I like it.
Yeah, it was #1 for like ever. So
I was a weird
It's-
kid. We were.
Yeah.
Well, I
The-
mean, with Seinfeld, it kind of was. It's what started sitcoms. No, like, isn't that kind of like where everything originated from?
I think that kind of like type of comedy originated.
So there was a lot
Yeah,
before that.
it was totally different. It was like
But
the comedy was like
Yeah.
they had a little bit of dark humor. I'm like, for example, the finale. There's this fat guy. So all the whole cast is like walking down the street, and there's this fat guy that gets assaulted, right?
Yeah.
And the thief runs away, and they film him. So they're filming this guy get robbed, and you could hear everybody like Seinfeld and Kramer and George and everybody fucking taking digs at the fat dude, like calling him a fatty, that he can't run for his life. So they start making fun of the victim during the situation. The guy's in
Yeah.
distress, getting robbed, and they're like fucking making fun of him, and they get thrown in jail because of that. But I just thought that it reminded me of that Seinfeld.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely. I mean, I have to watch it for it to be funny, but
Yeah, I know.
I got what you're saying. It definitely applies. Yeah, it's one of those things though that's super tough to, like, of a police officer to see injustice and then stop it. That's their job, right? But an everyday citizen, like, you're asking somebody to go above and beyond. I don't think that should be like a require. You know what I mean? Like, I don't look at an everyday person and be like, oh man, you were a fucking jerk off for not helping when somebody robbed the store. Like, that's not, you would have signed up to be a cop if that was
Okay,
the,
but listen. So me and Frankie are we're partners on the police force, right? We're in the same car. I know Frankie's a dickhead, right? Like, I know he's an asshole. I know he's gonna be like, he's gonna use excessive force because he's got that to him. And I see him putting his knee on the guy.
Frankie, you fucking
I was
dick.
like, hey, Frank, like,
Yeah.
we got him. We're good.
The,
We're good.
the other
He's got-
cops
I
in
would-
that
bro, I
situation,
would be-
I think definitely should have done something.
Chris,
Yeah,
we
that
could,
I would hold them responsible for. Sure.
yo, we could be good cop, bad cop.
Well, that's exactly what we would be. I would be
Be
like,
like,
hey,
yo,
hey,
Garry, what are we doing today? Or, yo, Chris, what are we doing today? We getting our dick sucked and doing some cocaine?
And I'm like, no. That's
Let's
not,
go
that's-
flash
that's
this
against
badge at some
protocol,
hookers, dog.
Against protocol, and then I'm like,
No, Chris will be like, Frank, body cam. Cover the body cam.
I remember there were some reports of some cop getting like a blowjob on the job or something, and it was like reported via body cam footage, and he got in big trouble and shit. I'm like, come on, guys, like,
Give the guy a break.
give him a break,
Guy a break.
you know?
So, on a positive little note,
it was a nice
Jamie
little segue
Foxx,
to something.
you guys remember Jimmy Fallon doing the Chris Rock SNL blackface skit 20 years ago?
No, you mentioned this before,
That was
right?
last time. Yeah, last
Yeah.
current events. So Jamie Foxx stood up for him and like with a bunch of tweets just saying, bro, you don't need to apologize. This is bullshit. You're good. We need comedians like you. It was just a joke. You did a great job of imitating Chris Rock, blah, 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 like praising him and saying like, bro, you don't need to apologize. So I'm like really glad that comedians are like banding together and,
Yeah.
and
Jamie
standing
Foxx
up to
is a
this fucking
cool
cancel
fucking
culture
guy.
bullshit.
He is
That
a
needs to
cool
happen
fucking
more,
dude.
by the way. Like,
Yeah.
like comedians really need to stand together more. Every time I've seen it so far, like most comedians just fucking they fucking bury people, man. Like
Turn right
somebody
over.
gets in trouble for some shit and they're like, oh yeah, he's a fucking terrible. Like, don't they realize like you're next, motherfucker? You're one word away from being the next dude who gets fucking canceled.
And also,
You
that
guys
guy who got
gotta
canceled,
stand up for each other.
he's coming back. The guy who got canceled, he's coming back. Look at Louis C.K. Like, so
Yeah.
many people fucking rolled over on him. Wait till that motherfucker comes back. He's going to be huge again. Like, he's too talented.
Well,
For sure.
I mean, I heard that Louis C.K. would whip his dick out to the chicks, kind of like.
Me and Garry both like, I mean.
Dude, it wasn't.
You
It
guys
wasn't
are like, what?
real, though.
You've never done that? You've
Like,
never
dude,
whipped your dick out?
No,
He didn't
dude,
touch
it was super
anybody, like-
weird. It was super weird. Let's be straight. That was very fucking strange. Like what Louis C.K. was accused of and what he actually did. I have no doubts in my mind about that. But like calling it like rape or like putting it to the point where it was like something that was like worthy of cancel culture, definitely not. Like,
Wait, wasn't that everyone's move in high school anyway? That's exactly what I used
Like
to
what?
do.
Whip your dick
Well,
out?
well,
It must be a Jersey thing.
my
Long
move,
Island
Chris,
thing.
and you can
I'm from New York, man.
my
Yours,
my
right.
move, Chris, and you can tell me whether or not this is something that makes sense to you. Is okay, you're going on your date, you're doing your thing, you're trying to hook up, whatever. All right. And you're like, yeah, you're not really sure, like things are not really necessarily heading in the direction of sex, right? And you're like, all right, well, there's
Wild
nothing
card.
really else. There's nothing really else I can do here to make sure that I get it. So I'm just gonna strip naked. And like whatever happens. Like if she leaves and she's not interested, she leaves. And if she is, then it's going to happen, right? That's kind of your last resort, I feel like, is to just get naked.
Shoot your
I don't know
shot.
if I start fucking jerking off. I think that's probably a little bit taking a step above where I'm at.
Gary.
But
He's a risk
Garry.
taker. What can I say?
Gary, any chick that would come home with you or would hang out with you knows exactly what she's into.
Look at his haircut. You think
You
he's?
see
You
this
think
mullet?
he's? Come on.
There's
Come on.
there's no way
You know
that
what you're getting with Garry.
that fucking what did John Vellante say, that muskrat, the muskrat. He's like, that muskrat on your head. It says it all, bro. If that doesn't say ATM all over your face, I don't know what does. So Denzel Washington saw a homeless man in distress getting harassed by the cops, by the po-po, and he stopped in the middle of the street. He parked his car and got in the middle of them and used his star power. He said, King Kong ain't got shit on me. Step aside.
Not for nothing, though. Then I saw the video. Denzel looked like the homeless guy in that video. God bless him for just
he
keeping it like super, super chill.
Bro,
But Jesus.
yeah, he needs to go back to work.
Quarantine
Quarantine has not been nice on him.
Nah, forgive him. That is
So-
super cool though. Like he is like such a huge A-list actor, and for him to step out of the comfort zone and to put himself out there like that, that's pretty dope.
Chris, I feel that King Kong ain't got shit on me comment flew over Gary's head. So that's from Training Day.
Training Day, really good movie.
One of the best movies that Denzel's ever done, and probably
Mhm.
like the best
It's up
movie
there.
ever.
It's up
So
there.
Gary, write that down
Go
and
watch,
watch
that.
it this weekend.
That's a good quarantine movie.
Okay.
I know you're busy, but that's a good movie to watch.
Yeah. So you
Sounds
got
good.
two homeworks.
Who's the white guy
You
in
got the
that?
Triple X Cove and the Ozarks, and you got Training Day.
And Bone Tomahawk. You still haven't seen that. Bone
Bone
Tomahawk.
Tomahawk. I got to do that.
you guys
I
got to
know
put
you
a
didn't-
list together for me.
We can do that. I know you haven't seen that because you haven't talked about it yet, because that movie is fucking bananas.
It's Chris's fitness tips he's got for you. He's got the little tips. He's gonna give it all to you. Just the tip. The little fitness tip. He's gonna give it all to you.
Well, I've had enough of you bitches. Oh wait, Chris,
Yes.
you wanted to hit us with some tips on meat.
Oh, today is national. Whenever you guys listen to this, this is National Hamburger Day, which was unbeknownst to me, which is crazy because I love hamburgers. But I was
You
told
have a burger today?
I would have went to Five Guys if I would have known.
Yeah, I had a bison burger today. I was reminded by a friend of mine who's a professional eater, my boy Wayne Atencio, big YouTube guy. But so yes, today is National Hamburger Day. So I want to kind of talk a little bit about like red meat. Like there's been so much back and forth about whether red meat is healthy for you, not healthy for you. I mean, majority of us grew up thinking that red meat was bad for you. We had to limit it as much as possible. There's been a pretty good study that came out that looked at a bunch of other studies and kind of took into account all of the factors related to that and kind of based or figured out that the basis of the idea that red meat's really, really bad for you is based on very, very, very weak science, on studies that are just completely barren of like real facts and convoluted with tons of different factors that would change the effects. So a lot of the studies show that people who have a high intake of red meat lead to cancer, but they're also, you're not really finding out where that red meat's coming from. Most people who eat red meat in our country go for fast food. So it's the quality of the meat that you're getting. Also, what comes with that fast food is white bread that's on as the bun, the fries that come with it, the sodas that come with it. There's a lot of factors that would add to your increase in cancer, unrelated to the fact of red meat alone.
It would seem as though that's one of those times where you would take a statistic, and it's kind of like you're just kind of molding statistics to support some worldview that you want to try to get out there.
It's kind of skewed.
Exactly what it seems like. Yeah.
You can't really like, okay, so how, unless you're gonna like take someone's diet and change it completely to just red meat, there's so many fucking variables there that how could you really say for sure that it was the red meat that was giving the person cancer? And even if you did do that, like even if you were like, okay, we're just gonna put these people on a diet of strictly red meat, well, now you've taken it so far in the other direction that it's not even necessarily a worthwhile, study, per se.
And you couldn't do it ethically for a long time with enough people. Like it's some of those things that like it's so difficult to study properly that for them to use whatever epidemiological studies they have to focus on what they decided they figured out and then make that as a blanket statement across the world that red meat's bad for you, absolutely wrong. And and it's disinformation, and it's sad because it really hurts what we think about when we think about nutrition science. It hurts about what we tell everyone, because if you keep switching everything every couple of years, how do you have any confidence in what you're being told?
Well, think about what happened with the fucking food pyramid, dude. Like we used to all believe that like fats and shit were like the devil, and that like we had to eat fucking 6 to 12 servings of fucking carbohydrates.
12 servings of carbs a day.
12 servings of carbohydrates a day? Are you fucking crazy? That's an insane amount of fucking carbs. You don't need that many fucking and they're not just talking. They were excluding fruits from that. Mm-hmm. They were just talking about like bread, pasta, like all this kind of stuff. That's crazy talk, man. So yeah, man, I agree with you. Like they change their tune and they use these broad statistics and basically just take whatever they want from the statistics to assume things, which is just it's wrong when it comes out as like the information, medically.
100%.
Red meat's good for you.
Red meat,
don't eat too much. Don't eat too much of anything, but red meat's good for you.
Check the source. So if it's good quality, go for it.
I think it comes down more when it comes to meat versus like there's a big meat versus vegetable debate. Like there's no meat versus vegetable. We're omnivores. Human beings are omnivores. You should be eating both. But with the quality of where everything that you eat comes from matters. And I think that becomes more of the debate rather than one versus the other.
Yeah.
Garry.
Yes, sir.
This is my favorite T-shirt. It's my favorite.
Yes.
It's my favorite T-shirt ever. And it's probably going to go in the garbage tomorrow. It's probably going to go in the garbage tomorrow if you don't.
Garry, I think you're getting younger, dude. I see pictures of you from the past, and you look younger now than you used to. What's going on here?
It's a mullet, baby.
He's been feeding off children's blood, young children.
Must be the red meat. He's eating a lot of red meat, so he's getting younger.
All right,
Mullet's
bitches.
so sharp it cut open a wormhole to another dimension.
Ooh.
Lost a
I
few
watched.
years.
You know what I watched today? Donnie Darko. Speaking of wormholes and changing time.
That's a weird movie.
Yeah, that's not a good movie to start your day with, which is what I did today. It's been a very
Puts you in a
weird day.
bad mood, depressed and shit.
I started my day with the Epstein documentary.
Oh, I turned that on just a little bit ago. I
Jesus.
shut it off. I'm like, I can't listen to this fucking creepazoid for 5 fucking hours.
All right, motherfuckers, I'm done.
All right, gentlemen.
Fuck you guys.
Hey,
Go get some
guys.
Gary.
more wine, Frankie. Get
Make
some
the
more wine,
post
bro.
tomorrow.
Good
Gary,
news.
make the post tomorrow. Come on, Gary, make the post tomorrow. See that? He hung up on me.
Yeah, fuck you, bro. I'm out. But we'll drink
See
some
ya.
more wine, bro. I'm gonna have. I'm not gonna.
Peace.
I want to sleep.
I move for no man, no man, no man, no
All right.
man, no
We'll call it a draw.
no man.
Just a flesh wound. Just a flesh wound. Just a flesh